I always thought I knew them. My best friend, my boyfriend, hell, even my family. I trusted them with everything I had. But that night, when I overheard their voices, it all shattered. Do you think she'll ever find out? Maya's voice was light, like she was talking about the weather. I mean, she's so trusting. She won't suspect a thing. I froze. The words cut deep, sinking into my chest like a cold knife. My hands shook, my breath catching in my throat. You're right, Alex laughed, but it wasn't the warm, carefree laugh I'd always known. It sounded empty, cruel. She's so blinded by her love for me, she won't even see it coming. I could hear Maya giggling on the other end. I honestly feel a little bad. But hey, it's her fault for being so clueless. She'll get over it. We'll just keep her in the dark until the end. My mind couldn't process what I was hearing. Betrayal. From the two people I trusted the most in this world. I had been their friend, their confidant, their lover. How could they laugh about it? How could they do this to me? I pushed myself up from the doorway, my head spinning. My whole body felt like it was trembling, but I couldn't stop myself from listening. You've got this, Alex said, his voice soft now, but still filled with satisfaction. She won't stand in our way. I felt the tears burn in my eyes. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't happening. It couldn't be. I staggered backward, unable to think clearly, but the pain in my chest was too sharp. They had planned it all. Maya, my best friend, Alex, my boyfriend. Together, they'd betrayed me, and they were planning to do it again without a second thought. But I wasn't just going to let this happen. I wasn't going to be a fool anymore. Stop pretending, I whispered to myself, as if trying to convince my heart that everything was fine. But it wasn't. Not anymore. They had taken everything. My trust, my love, my belief in people. They had taken it and shattered it. And now, all that was left was anger, and a terrible, terrible sense of loss. Did you hear that? Maya's voice came through the door. I quickly wiped the tears away. My legs were weak, but I stood tall. No more. No more pretending. Yeah, Alex said, his voice full of mock concern. She's finally figured it out. I stepped back into the room, forcing a smile I didn't feel. Hey, what's up? They froze. Both of them. I didn't wait for them to speak. I didn't need their lies anymore. Nothing, I said, forcing my voice steady, cold. Just thought I'd check in. I walked out. I don't know when it happened, but I started shutting down. It was like I couldn't breathe. Every step felt heavier than the last. My world, once so clear and bright, was now clouded by their betrayal. Maya and Alex, my best friend and my boyfriend, had ripped my life apart, and I couldn't even look at them without feeling like I was suffocating. It hurt to see them together. Every time I walked by them, laughing, holding hands, my heart felt like it was being crushed all over again. I couldn't escape it. They were everywhere. Their whispers, their smiles, everything about them reminded me of what I had lost. I tried to act normal. I tried to keep my face neutral when I saw them, but my body betrayed me. My hands shook. My breath quickened. I couldn't pretend anymore. One night, Maya came up to me at a party, smiling like she had no clue what she had done. Hey, you good? She asked, her voice almost as sweet. Yeah, I managed to say, but I knew it sounded fake. I didn't trust myself to speak any more than that. She raised an eyebrow, as if she could tell I was lying. Are you sure? You've been acting weird lately. I could barely look at her. I'm fine, I said again, the words tasting bitter in my mouth, but inside, I was dying. I felt like I was drowning in the silence between us. She didn't know. She didn't know how her actions had shattered me, how every time I saw her with Alex, my world crumbled just a little more. When I saw them together in the hallways, my heart felt like it was shattering into a million pieces. I could see the way Alex looked at her. It was the same way he used to look at me. The warmth, the tenderness. It made me want to scream, but instead, I withdrew. I stopped answering texts. I stopped showing up to our usual hangouts. I stopped talking to anyone. I didn't want to face them. I couldn't even look at my phone without feeling a wave of nausea rise up in me. The messages from Maya, from Alex, were a constant reminder of the lie they had woven, of the love I had given so freely, only to have it thrown back in my face. A week went by. I hadn't spoken to either of them. I hadn't spoken to anyone. I was alone. I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to move forward. I just needed space. I needed time to figure out what I was supposed to do. but the loneliness was suffocating. Every second without them felt like a lifetime. But even more than the loneliness, I felt the anger building inside me. It was quiet, almost like a hum beneath the surface, but it was there, and it wouldn't go away. I could still hear their laughter in my mind. The way they had betrayed me so easily, so casually. The betrayal had sunk its teeth into me, and now I was left picking up the pieces of my broken heart. I hated them for what they did to me. I hated how easy it was for them to move on while I was left in the dark, wondering if I had ever meant anything to them at all. I hated myself for trusting them, for loving them, and as much as I hated them, I couldn't forget. I couldn't erase the pain. No matter how hard I tried, it's been a year. A year since they destroyed everything I thought I knew about love and friendship. The wounds are still there, raw and aching, but they're not as sharp as they once were. They've become something different now, something I can feel deep inside me, something that won't go away. But it's not just pain anymore. There's anger too, and a fierce determination to make things right. I sit on the edge of my bed, staring at my phone. A text from Maya. I haven't heard from her in months. Hey, I'm really sorry. I messed up. Can we talk? I should ignore it. I should just delete it. But I don't. I stare at the screen, my fingers twitching, wanting to reach out and reply. Part of me still wants to forgive her, to pretend that everything is fine and move on. But I can't. Not after everything. I clench my jaw, staring at the message, wondering why it's even still there. Why am I even considering responding? She doesn't deserve my forgiveness. They don't deserve it. I remember the look in Alex's eyes the last time I saw him. The way he pretended everything was normal. The way he lied and told me he was sorry as if that would fix it. He didn't even try to fight for me. My phone buzzes again. Another text from Maya. Please, I really need to talk to you. I was wrong. I slammed the phone face down on my desk, the sharp noise echoing in the quiet room. I don't need this. I don't need them. But I can't keep running. I can't keep hiding from them. They destroyed me once, but I'm not the same person I was back then. I've changed. And it's time I took control of my life again. The anger inside me is like a fire now, burning brightly. And I'm not going to let it fade out. I stand up, walking over to the mirror. I barely recognize the person looking back at me. The girl in the reflection is stronger, more guarded. There's a new sharpness in her eyes. She's not the victim anymore. I take a deep breath, my heart racing. I won't forgive them. I won't give them the chance to tear me down again. But I'll make them feel what they did to me. I'll make them regret it. I know what I have to do. It's time to take the first step. I grab my phone, the decision already made. I don't owe them anything, but they will owe me. My fingers hover over the keyboard as I type my response. It's simple, but it's enough. I don't want to talk to you. I hit send, and for the first time in a long while, I feel like I've taken back control. They can't hurt me anymore. I won't let them. I'm not the same girl I was a year ago. I'm not the girl they betrayed. I'm someone new now. Someone who won't be broken again, and I'll make sure they never forget that. As I put my phone down, I feel something shift inside me. It's not just the anger anymore. It's something stronger, something that I can use to rebuild my life, piece by piece. No more running. It's time to make them pay. I remember the first day I decided to leave. I packed my bags, walked out the door, and didn't look back. The old me was dead, and it was time to bury her. I wasn't going to let anyone or anything drag me down anymore. Not Maya, not Alex, not even my own past. I needed to rebuild. And I knew the first step was changing everything about myself. When I look in the mirror now, I don't even recognize the person staring back. My hair is different, darker, shorter. I've traded in my old style for something sharper, more confident. Every detail matters. My clothes, my posture, the way I walk. Everything screams strength now. I'm no longer hiding. I stand tall. I was no longer the girl who cried in the dark, wishing for things to go back to normal. That girl is gone. The girl who'd been betrayed is gone too. Now, I'm the woman who controls her fate. I joined a kickboxing class. The first few weeks were brutal, my body aching, my muscles burning, but I loved every second of it. The feeling of power in my hands, the strength in my legs. I began to crave it, to crave the control, to feel in charge. You're improving every day, coach said, wiping sweat from his brow as he watched me throw a punch. Keep this up, and you'll be a powerhouse. I nodded, grinning. I'm not stopping anytime soon. At first, The workouts were just a way to distract myself, a way to fill the emptiness that had settled in my chest. But soon, they became a necessity. Every drop of sweat, every bruise, was a reminder of my strength. I was turning my pain into power. I could feel the old, broken me fading away with every punch I landed. But it wasn't just the physical changes. I started reading more too. Self-help books, psychology, anything that would help me understand myself better, and more importantly, how to control my emotions. I didn't want to be ruled by anger anymore. I wanted to be smarter than that. Have you thought about taking a few business classes? Zara, a new friend I'd made at the gym, asked one day. You've got the drive. You'd do great. The idea had never crossed my mind, but the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. I could start something of my own, something that wasn't tied to the past, something that could be just mine. I think you're right, I said, the excitement in my chest growing. I think I need to take control of more than just my body. Zara smiled, clearly impressed. I like this side of you. I can see you're not the same person anymore. I wasn't. I wasn't the girl who let people walk all over her. I wasn't the girl who let herself be betrayed. I was stronger now, more focused, more determined to make something of myself. I started setting goals, small ones at first. Finish a workout, sign up for a class, call a business mentor. Every step was a victory, even the smallest ones. And as I made progress, my confidence grew. One day, when I was walking through the mall, I bumped into someone I hadn't seen in a long time, Maya's cousin, Anna. Hey, she said, her eyes widening as she looked me over. Wow, you've changed. I smiled, the kind of smile I'd never worn before, confident, assured. Yeah, I have. You look amazing, Anna added, still taking me in. What's your secret? I chuckled softly, looking her straight in the eye. No secret, just realizing that I deserved more than I was giving myself, Anna seemed to get it. Good for you, she said, giving me a warm smile. I always knew you had it in you. It felt good to hear someone acknowledge my change. The old me had never gotten praise for anything, but now, people were noticing. I wasn't the same girl who'd been left behind. I wasn't the same girl who had been shattered. I was someone different, stronger, someone no one could hurt again. As I walked away from the encounter, I felt a surge of pride in my chest. This was just the beginning. I was no longer defined by the betrayal. I was defined by my own strength. And this new life was only going to get better. I wasn't done rebuilding. Not yet, but I was getting there. One step at a time. It's been months since I last saw Maya. I didn't even think I'd run into her again. Not after everything that happened. But fate had other plans. I was walking down the street, lost in my thoughts, when I spotted a familiar face. At first, I thought I was imagining things, but then she turned, and our eyes met. Maya, she looked different, softer, like a shadow of the girl I once knew. But her eyes? They were the same. She was staring at me like she wasn't sure if she should approach. I stopped in my tracks, my heart pounding in my chest. But it wasn't fear. No, it was something much colder, something I'd never thought I'd feel for her. Indifference. Maya hesitated for a moment, then took a few steps toward me, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. I didn't move. Didn't say anything for a few seconds. My mind was calm, but my heart was on fire. How dare she show up like this, acting like nothing had happened? I didn't think I'd ever see you either, I said, my tone flat, controlled. But here we are. Her face twisted with guilt. I've been thinking about you a lot, about everything that happened. I am sorry. Sorry? I couldn't help but laugh, a bitter, dry sound that felt foreign coming from me. Sorry? I repeated, stepping a little closer, my voice colder than ice. Is that supposed to make it better? After everything you and Alex did? Maya flinched, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for me, her voice almost pleading now. I never meant to hurt you. I was stupid, and I held up my hand, stopping her mid-sentence. Don't make excuses. I'm not interested in your apologies. Her eyes watered, but I didn't care. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me again. Not now, not ever. I get it, okay? Maya's voice cracked. I ruined everything. I betrayed you. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to understand how sorry I am. I crossed my arms, looking at her like she was a stranger. I don't need your apologies, Maya. What I need is for you to understand what you did to me. Maya took a step forward, her eyes desperate. I do understand. I really do. I've been living with this guilt, and it's eating me alive. Every day, I think about how I hurt you, and I hate myself for it. I never wanted to lose you. For a moment, I felt a flicker of something, maybe sympathy, but I quickly squashed it down. I couldn't afford to feel sorry for her. Not anymore. You think I wanted to be betrayed? I asked, my voice sharp. You think it was easy for me to find out the truth? To know that the two people I trusted most in the world were laughing at me behind my back? Maya winced, but I couldn't find it in me to care. I know what you lost, okay? She whispered. I lost you too. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw it, guilt, regret, but more than that, I saw the weakness in her. She wasn't the confident best friend I once had. She was just someone who had made a choice, and now she was paying for it. Good, I said, my voice barely audible, but sharp. You should feel that. You should feel everything you've done. Because what you did to me, it's not something that goes away. Not just with a simple sorry. Maya opened her mouth to speak, but I stopped her again. No, you don't get to say anything more. It's too late for that. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even hurt. I was calm, detached, and it felt good. I took a step back, shaking my head slowly. I'm done with you, Maya. You made your choice, and now, I'm making mine. I'm not here to give you closure or comfort. You had your chance. She stood there, looking at me, her face pale and stricken with regret. But it didn't matter. I wasn't here to fix her. I was here to take my power back, and I had. I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there, a shadow of the person she used to be. I'd spent the past few months rebuilding, growing stronger, and more importantly, learning. I wasn't the same girl I'd been when I was hurt. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was in control now, and it felt good. I watched them closely, studying their every move. Maya and Alex still blissfully unaware of what was coming. They thought they'd gotten away with it, but I was patient. I wasn't going to rush it. The time would come when they'd realize just how much I'd learned. The first step was getting back into their lives, but slowly. I didn't want to draw attention. I didn't want to look desperate, like I needed anything from them. So, I played it cool. I kept my distance at first, but I knew exactly when and where to show up. Hey, you've been kind of quiet lately, Maya texted me one afternoon. I could almost hear her hesitating, not sure how to approach me after everything. I smiled, tapping out my reply with careful precision. I've just been busy. How's everything with you? I could almost feel her breathe a sigh of relief. Better. It's been rough, but I'm working on myself. I didn't respond right away. There was no need to rush it. She was trying so hard to act like everything was normal, like she hadn't spent months betraying me. I had to let her think that this was her idea, that she was in control. It didn't take long for her to start making more of an effort, sending me texts, trying to reconnect. But I wasn't interested in being her friend again. Not yet. I had a bigger goal in mind. I knew Maya. I knew her weaknesses. I could see through her act. She was still the same person, driven by guilt and fear, trying to regain some sense of control in her life. And Alex? He was more predictable than I gave him credit for. He still couldn't keep his eyes off me. The way he looked at me sometimes like he was waiting for me to forgive him. But I wasn't going to let him off that easy. I saw him at a party one night, talking to Maya. His gaze shifted across the room, landing on me. He didn't expect me to notice, but I saw the way his eyes narrowed, the way he shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He thought I'd forgotten, that I'd moved on, but I hadn't. I leaned against the wall, observing them both. Maya laughed at something Alex said, but there was something forced about it. She was trying too hard to convince herself that everything was okay, that they were okay. I could feel the anger simmering beneath the surface, but I didn't show it. I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction of seeing me lose control. I wasn't some naive girl anymore. I was the one in charge now. As the night went on, I approached them, casually strolling by their table. I made sure to let my presence be known without saying a word. The look on their faces was priceless. Maya froze for a second, and Alex's eyes widened slightly before he forced a smile. Hey, I said, my voice calm, even unaffected. You two still doing well? Maya stammered, caught off guard. Yeah, we're good. Everything's good. I could hear the hesitation in her voice, and I almost laughed. She couldn't even fake it anymore. But I didn't let that show. Good, I said with a small smile. then turned and walked away, leaving them both staring after me. I wasn't rushing anything. I didn't need to. Karma was doing its thing. All I had to do was wait, watch, and play my part. They didn't know it yet, but the game had already started. And this time, I was the one making the rules. The moment I've been waiting for had finally arrived. I'd played the game carefully, patiently, waiting for the right moment to strike. And now, it was all coming to a head. I was sitting at a table in the coffee shop, watching Maya and Alex from across the room. They were arguing, their voices low but sharp, like they were trying to keep it quiet. But I could hear every word. "I don't get it," Maya hissed, leaning toward Alex. "She's been quiet for months. Why is she suddenly making things difficult? Why is she stirring things up now?" I smirked to myself, knowing that they were both clueless. They still didn't understand what was happening. They thought I was just sitting back, letting them off the hook. But they were wrong. Alex rubbed his face, looking stressed. "I don't know. She's different now. I don't think she's going to let us off easy anymore. Not after everything we've done." I had been right. They still thought they could get away with it, that I would just forgive them eventually. But this time, they were wrong. I had learned too much from their betrayal to let it slide. "You think she's planning something?" Maya asked, her voice shaky. "Maybe," Alex muttered, his gaze darting nervously toward the door. "But I can't afford for her to ruin everything. I won't let her." I had been waiting for this. This moment where they realized the tables had turned. They were losing control, and they had no idea what to do next. I stood up, making my way toward their table, my footsteps slow and deliberate. When I reached them, I didn't even acknowledge them right away. I took my time, letting them feel the weight of my presence. "Is something wrong?" I asked, my voice calm, almost casual. Maya's face went pale, and Alex looked like he'd seen a ghost. It was like they both knew what was coming, but were too stunned to say anything. Finally, Maya spoke, her voice tight. "What do you want, my name?" I smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was cold, calculated. "Oh, nothing. I just wanted to make sure you two were doing okay." Alex cleared his throat, trying to cover the tension in the air. "We're fine. Everything's fine." I raised an eyebrow, leaning in slightly. "Are you sure about that?" They both exchanged uneasy glances, and that was when I knew my plan was working. They were unraveling. "You've been lying to everyone, haven't you?" I said, my voice barely above a whisper, but carrying the weight of everything I had been holding in for so long. The lies, the manipulation, the betrayal. "You really thought you could get away with it?" Maya's face turned bright red. "You don't know what you're talking about, don't I?" I challenged, standing a little taller. "I know everything. And it's funny, Maya. You were always so good at pretending, so good at being the perfect best friend. But now, everyone knows the truth. No one's buying your act anymore." Alex looked like he wanted to sink into the ground. "Please stop," he muttered, barely above a whisper. "We didn't mean to hurt you." "You didn't mean to?" I repeated, my voice dripping with disbelief. "You didn't mean to? Do you even hear yourselves? The people you hurt, the trust you destroyed, what? You think I should just forgive that?" Maya looked away, unable to meet my eyes. She knew she was guilty. I leaned in, my eyes locking on hers. "It's too late for apologies. You both are going to pay for what you did." I didn't wait for their response. I turned and walked away, the satisfaction of watching them squirm filling me. I wasn't the victim anymore. They were. The next few days were full of whispers and rumors. It didn't take long for people to figure out what had really been going on. Maya and Alex tried to spin it, tried to make me look like the villain, but no one believed them. The truth had already spread, and there was no going back for them. I had turned the tables. And now, the consequences of their actions were catching up with them, one by one. I didn't have to lift a finger anymore. They were destroying themselves, and I was watching it happen. It felt better than I could have imagined. I thought it would feel different, this feeling of victory. The satisfaction of knowing I'd finally made them pay, of watching Alex and Maya crumble under the weight of their betrayal. But now that it was over, now that I'd done what I set out to do, all I felt was emptiness. The rush of seeing them suffer had worn off, leaving something cold and heavy in its place. I wanted to believe it was worth it, that every calculated move had been justified. But as the days went on, the thrill faded, and the truth started creeping in. I wasn't the same person anymore. I leaned against the window, watching the rain fall outside, listening to the rhythm of each drop against the glass. It was peaceful in a way, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something inside me had broken. I picked up my phone, staring at the last text I'd sent Maya. You got what you deserved. It wasn't much, but it had been enough. She'd read it. She'd known. But even then, it felt like the words weren't enough to make the pain go away. I did it, I whispered to myself. I won. So why does it feel so wrong? I didn't expect an answer, but part of me wanted one. I wanted to know if what I'd done had been worth it. I wanted to feel that closure I thought I'd find in revenge. Instead, all I felt was the quiet aftermath, like the world had moved on while I was still stuck in the same place. The doorbell rang, pulling me from my thoughts. I glanced at the clock late for a visit. I didn't have to check the peephole. I knew who it was. Zara. I opened the door, and she walked in without saying a word. She could always read me, always knew when something was wrong. You okay? She asked, standing in the doorway, her arms crossed. I shrugged, the weight of the question hitting harder than I expected. Yeah, I think so. It's just all over now. They've been punished. Everything I wanted to happen happened. She tilted her head, studying me. But it doesn't feel like I thought it would. I thought getting revenge would make everything right. I thought it would give me peace. But all I feel now is nothing. Zara stepped closer, her eyes softening. That's because revenge doesn't fix things. It doesn't heal the hurt, or make you whole again. It just changes you. I've changed, I muttered, the weight of her words sinking in. I'm not the same person. I'm colder, distant. I don't even recognize myself anymore. Zara didn't respond right away. She just stood there, watching me, and for a moment, I could see the sadness in her eyes. She understood the cost, even if I wasn't sure I did yet. What happens now? She asked after a beat. I hesitated, not sure how to answer. I don't know. I've spent so much time focusing on making them pay. I never stopped to think about what happens after. What happens when the anger fades? When there's nothing left but the silence? Zara took a deep breath. You're going to have to find that out for yourself. Revenge doesn't fill the hole inside you, it just deepens it. But you've got the power to choose what comes next. I nodded slowly, but I wasn't sure I was ready for that. I wasn't sure if I even wanted to choose anymore. My whole world had revolved around getting even. But now, I felt lost. I don't know who I am anymore, I said quietly. You're still you, Zara replied, her voice gentle but firm. But you have to decide who you want to be now. What kind of person you want to be after all of this. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I was still trying to figure that out. Was I better for it? Stronger? Or had I just lost a part of myself I couldn't get back? I looked out the window again, watching the rain continue to fall, wondering how long it would take for the storm inside me to pass. I thought I'd feel different after everything. After watching Maya and Alex lose control, after seeing their lives unravel. I thought I'd feel satisfied, like all the pain they'd caused me would finally be erased. But as the days passed, I realized that nothing felt as sweet as I thought it would. Sitting alone in my apartment one night, I found myself staring at my phone, scrolling through their messages. Maya's apology, Alex's attempts to explain himself. It all seemed so hollow now. They were sorry, but I wasn't. I didn't need their apologies. Not anymore. But what I couldn't ignore was the emptiness inside me. The anger that had driven me, the desire for revenge, it was all gone now. I'd gotten what I wanted. They'd paid for what they did to me. And yet, here I was, still wondering if it had been worth it. The doorbell rang, pulling me from my thoughts. I wasn't expecting anyone, but I got up to answer it anyway. Zara, I said, a bit surprised to see her standing there. Mind if I come in? She asked, stepping inside without waiting for my response. I closed the door behind her. What's up? I just wanted to check on you, she said, her voice soft but knowing. You've been quiet lately. How are you really feeling? I shrugged, looking away. I don't know. I thought I'd feel better. I thought everything would be fine once they got what was coming to them. Zara sat down on the couch, watching me closely. But I hesitated. But it doesn't feel like I thought it would. I wanted justice. But I got it. And now it just feels like I'm still empty. Like I'm still stuck. You're not stuck, Zara said gently. You've done what you set out to do. But that doesn't mean the journey is over. You still have to figure out what comes next. I thought revenge would make it all better, I admitted, sinking onto the couch beside her. But I'm realizing now that it's not the answer. I'm not the same person I was before. I thought I'd be stronger, but instead, I'm just different. Zara leaned back, crossing her arms. You've changed, sure. But maybe that's not a bad thing. You've learned from it. Karma took care of them, but you had to take care of yourself too. I nodded slowly, her words sinking in. I'd let my need for revenge consume me. I'd let it transform me, but I hadn't stopped to think about the price I was paying for that transformation. The universe balances things out, Zara continued. You got your revenge, but now it's time to heal. You don't need to keep carrying that weight. I felt a weight lift off my chest, and for the first time in a long while, I exhaled deeply. She was right. Karma had taken care of the rest. It was time for me to stop holding onto the past, to stop defining myself by the pain they caused me. I don't know if I'll ever fully get over what happened, I said softly, but I don't have to keep punishing myself for it. Zara smiled, her expression soft. Exactly. The best revenge is living well. You don't need to keep fighting it. I sat there for a moment, letting her words sink in. It was true. I had won, but the real victory wasn't in making them suffer, it was in letting go of that anger. It was in choosing to move on, to heal. I looked at Zara, finally allowing myself to smile. You're right. I'm ready to let it go. She grinned back. Good. Now, let's go do something that's not about revenge. And for the first time in a long time, I felt the weight of the past finally start to lift. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but I was ready for it. I wasn't defined by the hurt anymore. I was defined by what I chose to do next. And that was something no one could take away from me. I stood in front of the mirror, looking at the woman staring back at me. She wasn't the girl who had been broken by betrayal. She wasn't the person who had let anger rule her every move. No, this was someone different, someone stronger, someone who had learned to let go. I'd spent so much time holding on to the past, letting it shape my decisions, my actions. I let the anger and pain consume me. But now, I was free. Are you ready? Zara asked, breaking me out of my thoughts. She stood in the doorway, waiting patiently, like she knew the weight that had been lifted off me. I smiled, a real smile, not the mask I used to wear. I am. Good. Because the future is yours now. I nodded, stepping away from the mirror. I didn't need to look at it anymore. I knew who I was now. I had worked hard to get here, to let go of the person who had been consumed by the past. The girl who had been betrayed was gone, and in her place, I had built someone new. I walked past Zara, feeling the air around me like it was different, lighter. I think I'm ready for whatever comes next. Zara grinned, a little teasing. You've always been ready. You just had to believe it. We walked out the door together, the sound of our footsteps echoing in the hallway. I couldn't remember the last time I'd felt this calm, this sure of myself. There was no more weight on my shoulders, no more shadows from the past following me. I had made my peace with what happened. I didn't need revenge anymore. I didn't need to keep punishing myself for something I couldn't change. I had learned. I had grown. And now, I was free. Zara paused and looked at me. You're really different now. I nodded, feeling the truth of her words. I am, but that's okay. I like this version of me. We kept walking, and I realized I wasn't looking back. I had made my peace, and the past no longer controlled me. It had shaped me, yes, but it wasn't who I was anymore. The future was mine to shape now, and I was ready.